Is emotional attachment ever too much for you? Does it feel like you're stuck in a cycle of attachment that you can't get out of? This is a familiar struggle that can make you feel helpless and stuck, but there is a silver lining. Not only is change possible, it's also very close. Using the teachings of ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, we will find the key to mastering the art of detachment and breaking free from the emotional chains that bind us. In this life-changing video, we will explore the deep principles of Stoicism to help you on your way to emotional freedom. By applying these timeless teachings, you will learn useful and healthy ways to separate yourself from someone or something that is weighing you down. As you watch this video, let go of the mental chains of emotional attachment and focus on what really counts in your life. If you believe in the power of personal growth and are ready to break free from the chains of emotional attachment, then this video is for you. Number 1. The power of detachment. Why is it important to be detached? When we hold on too tightly to people or events, they start to control us. It's like giving someone else control over your emotions and letting them change the channels whenever they want. Their influence can decide how happy you are. Your sadness and, in the worst cases, can make people do things they can't take back. Detaching doesn't mean you stop caring. It just means giving things that are out of your control the weight they deserve. Imagine that your feelings are like a kite. This may sound strange, but bear with me. Each string that is connected to a person or thing stands for a possible direction. When you hold on to too many or too few strings, your feelings can be pulled. You're at the mercy of the wind. Stoicism teaches us to let go and know that we can't change the wind, but we can choose which strings to hold. This doesn't make you cold or uncaring. It makes you strong and grounded. Let's get down to business. Begin by figuring out what or who you're too attached to. Ask yourself why you want approval. Are you afraid of being alone or something else? Figuring out where your attachment comes from is the first thing you need to do to free yourself from it. Now, do things that give you a sense of purpose and happiness, or let someone hold you down. Being detached from something sets you free. People often mistake detachment for disregard or emotional coldness, but it is actually a powerful way to keep your mental and emotional health in good shape. It means taking a step back from situations and relationships that are making you feel strongly in order to see things more clearly. Detachment lets people live their lives more fully without letting their feelings or situations control them. This exercise can help you feel more free, at peace with yourself, and able to make better choices. How to understand detachment. Being detached doesn't mean being cold or emotionless. It's about setting emotional limits and not getting too attached to people or results. It means realizing and accepting that feelings and experiences are temporary. Pros of being separated. Reduces stress and worry, which makes you feel more emotionally stable. Allows a more objective view, which helps people make better decisions. Makes people stronger in the face of problems because bad things are less likely to knock them down. Getting better at detachment. Mindfulness and meditation can help you develop a detached mindset by making you more aware of the present moment and less likely to respond emotionally. You can avoid getting emotionally involved in other people's problems by setting clear personal limits and learning to say no. Lack of attachment in relationships. Because it cuts down on codependency and too much emotional involvement, healthy detachment makes relationships more real and balanced. It supports respect for each person's freedom and unique path. Getting detached and growing as a person helps you become more self-aware and in control of your actions, which gives you power. Encourages people to focus on their own values and goals instead of results or approval from others. accepts that life is full of change and uncertainty, which supports a growth mindset. Detachment is powerful because it can help you live a balanced life where you can fully experience the present moment without letting your feelings or outside circumstances control you. By practicing detachment, people can find more inner peace, clarity and strength, which can lead to a happier and more satisfying life. Number 2. Understanding attachment. When you're attached to something, you're acting from your ego. To put it simply, we are creatures of love at our core. Think of a newborn baby who is filled with joy and not affected by the complexities of ego. But as we get older, our ego takes over and fills our lives with attachments, whether they are to people or ideas. These attachments cloud our judgment and take us away from our essence, which is love. Remember that attachment is the game of the ego and the opposite of love and self-contentment. If we take a step back and look at our wants and connections through this lens, we can start to see how much weight they add to our lives. Imagine living your life from a place of love instead of ego. Imagine how free you would feel if you weren't so attached to results, people, or titles. Living from love lets you trust that what's meant for you will come your way. This isn't about hoping for the best. It's about having a strong trust in your own worth and abilities. Realizing that attachments are just anchors that keep you from exploring the vast ocean you're supposed to is what makes it possible to let go. So how do we start to free ourselves from these anchors? Step 1 is to recognize the connection for what it is. Your ego trying to feel safe and important. Next, change your point of view and realize that this bond doesn't define your worth. Realizing that your essence or core is enough doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice that you make every day to put your inner happiness ahead of what other people think of you. Finally, accept the idea of abundance. When you let go of your fear of losing something, the world tends to give you more than what you lost. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you understand better and stay true to who you are. Letting love instead of fear lead you on the path to detachment changes everything. It's about shedding the ego's layers to reveal the strong, loving soul below. It's about moving forward with ease, free from the weight of attachment, ready to receive new gifts with open arms and a steady heart. Attachment theory, which was created by John Bowlby and expanded upon by Mary Ainsworth, looks at the strong emotional bonds that people have with each other, especially between children and their main caregivers. This theory stresses how important early relationships are for shaping a person's social and mental growth. Knowing about attachment helps you see the patterns that affect your behavior, feelings, and interactions with other people throughout your life. The idea has been very important in psychology, psychiatry, and social work because it helps us understand how safe and unsafe bonds affect mental health and social functioning, what attachment is, and why it's important. Attachment is the mental bond that forms between a baby and their main caretaker. This connection is very important for a child's growth because it gives them a sense of safety and a base for discovering the world. Attachments made early in life affect a child's sense of safety, their ability to make friends, and how they deal with stress. Many kinds of attachments. When a child has secure attachment, they are sure that their caretaker will meet their wants. Children who are securely linked tend to explore more and get upset when their caretaker leaves, but they are easily calmed down when they come back. There are 3 main types of insecure attachment. Anxious, ambivalent. The child is too dependent on the caretaker and shows a lot of grief when separated from them and ambivalence when they return. Avoidant. The child doesn't seem to care if the caregiver is there or not. This is usually because the caregiver is mentally unavailable or unresponsive. Disorganized. Kids act in ways that aren't clear or make sense to the person caring for them. This is often a sign of abuse or serious neglect. Effects on growth and behavior. Children who feel secure in their relationships tend to have better social skills, stronger self-esteem, and more resilience. Attachment problems can make it harder to get along with others, lower your self-esteem, and make you more likely to have mental health problems like sadness and anxiety. The caregiver's job is caretakers' responsiveness and sensitivity are very important for the growth of connection. Secure attachment is built through consistent, nurturing, and responsive parenting. Insecure attachment patterns can develop when caregiving is inconsistent or not sensitive. Attachment patterns can be passed down from one generation to the next through caregivers' own attachment styles and how they connect with their children. Attachment at different stages of life. Attachment patterns formed in early childhood often stay with a person into adults, affecting their relationships with friends, romantic partners, and their own children. In therapy and personal growth, knowing your attachment style can be very helpful. It can help you deal with and change unhealthy habits and make your relationships better. Understanding attachment is important for understanding how people grow and develop, and for understanding how early relationships have a huge effect on our mental and social health throughout our lives. Fostering secure attachments in children can help set the stage for healthy, satisfying relationships that last a person's whole life. Number 3. The illusion of the ego. Sometimes our ego tells us that we're not good enough or that someone else's life is better, which makes us emotionally cling to them for approval. This mistaken belief often causes us to idolize others, putting them on a pedestal as if they have something we can't have. But when we get down to our essence in life's toughest moments, we realize that no one has a special ticket. We're all vulnerable and human. It's important to face this illusion head-on and see it for what it is, an illusion, and not let it change how we see ourselves or others. In order to save time, let us talk about self-confidence and inner health. It's okay to tell yourself that you're wonderful, unique, and exceptional. It's good for your self-esteem and your inner child to have this mindset, but it doesn't mean putting others down or separating yourself from the human experience as a whole. Instead, it means realizing that while we all have our own paths, none of them are inherently better than the others. Our stories are all intertwined and important in the bigger picture of life. Now let's talk about detachment. When it comes to relationships, it's easy to fall into the lack mindset and worry about losing someone special and irreplaceable. This way of thinking comes directly from our ego. Whispering lies of scarcity and limitation. In truth, enforcing emotional detachment is not about denying feelings or becoming indifferent, but about embracing the abundance of the universe and our capacity for love. It's acknowledging that while someone can be special to us, our completeness doesn't rely on their presence. This realization liberates us from fear-based attachment, owing us to love freely, without clinging desperately, finally resonating with the Stoic philosophy. It's invaluable to practice seeing every individual, including ourselves, through a lens of equality. Everyone we meet, everyone we might lose, plays their role in our journey, just as we play in theirs. But no role is indispensable. By internalizing this, we cultivate a profound emotional strength that prepares us to face life's uncertainties. With grace, the Stoics taught us the importance of focusing on what we can control, our perceptions, actions, and will. In applying this to relationships and detachment, we find a path to genuine peace and resilience, shedding the illusions cast by our ego and embracing the liberating truth of our shared humanity. The idea behind the illusion of the ego questions the idea that the self is a separate, unchangeable thing. This idea comes from Eastern philosophies like Buddhism and is being studied more and more in Western psychology and neuroscience. It says that the ego, or our sense of being a different, unique self, is something we make up instead of something that is real. People can have a profound shift in awareness by realizing that the ego is just an illusion. This can lead to more compassion, less suffering, and a stronger connection with the world around them. The ego as a building block. People often think of the ego as a stable, single identity, but it's really just something that people make up in their minds from their thoughts, memories, and experiences. This knowledge helps you see that the self is not as solid and separate as it seems. Being mindful and knowing yourself. Mindfulness and meditation are two practices that can help you see how temporary the thoughts and feelings that make up the ego are. If you watch your mind without getting attached to it, you can see that the ego is not a solid thing, but a set of things that change over time. All living things are connected. Realizing that the ego is just an illusion helps you feel linked to everything else. All living things are part of a bigger whole, if the self is not different. Realizing this can make you more empathetic and generous, getting rid of suffering. A lot of human pain comes from the wants, fears, and attachments of the ego. Realizing that these things aren't really parts of you can help weaken their influence, making your life more peaceful and happy. From a cognitive and neuroscientific point of view, modern neuroscience backs up the idea that the sense of self is made up, with studies showing how the brain makes us feel like we have a single, ongoing identity. This fits with what philosophers and spiritual leaders say about the ego not being solid. By looking into these lessons, one can start to break down the ego's strict limits, leading to a more open, caring, and free way of being. Number 4. Detachment in practice. You have to be ready to let go of past events and relationships. It's like holding onto a rope so tight that your hands hurt, but you're afraid to let go because you don't know what will happen if you do. Trust me, letting go doesn't always mean you fall. Sometimes it just means you can finally stretch your hands out. Reach out and grab something even better. I learned this the hard way when I clung to a safe relationship because it felt good, but I didn't realize I was blocking out possible happiness that was knocking on my door. Here's another truth bomb. FOMO, or fear of missing out, is a trap. You might feel like you're missing out on life while looking through everyone else's stories on social media, but it's actually a carefully chosen and edited snapshot of a perfect moment. Once I stopped scrolling through everyone else's stories and started reading my own, I realized how much I missed out on life. I lost my grip on living my own. You're not losing out if you don't know everything about someone else's life. It just means you're fully present in your own and making memories that are unique to you. Attachment to a false picture of happiness can make it impossible to let go. You see other people living their best life and worry that you're falling behind and will never have what they have, but remember that grass isn't always greener on the other side. From a distance it looks greener, but up close you can see that it has some brown spots too. Giving someone the false impression that their life is perfect steals. Trying to emotionally detach from joy that isn't your own is like running on a treadmill to catch a hologram. No matter how fast you go, you'll never get there because it's not real. Detachment isn't about giving up happiness. It's about defining it on your own terms. To emotionally detach, follow the Stoic principle and focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, and your growth. It feels good to know that no one's opinion, old relationship, or even a perfectly filtered life on social media can change your worth or your happiness. This realization is your shield. It frees you from needless ties that hold you back, letting you enjoy life's random beauty and leaving you open to the real, satisfying connections that are just around the corner. Don't forget that letting go isn't the end. It's a brave move toward the life you deserve. A lot of the time, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, and spiritual progress are linked to the idea of detachment. It means keeping a healthy emotional distance from things, people, or results. This helps people deal with life's problems more clearly and balanced. Detachment doesn't mean being uninterested or apathetic. Instead, it helps you see things in a more balanced way, which lowers your stress and improves your health. How to understand detachment. Finding a balance between being involved and not being attached is what detached people do. It means being able to watch events and feelings without getting caught up in them. Keeping your emotions and mind clear is easier when you can detach from things. Pros of being separated. Lessens stress and worry by keeping people from becoming too attached to the results. Helps people make better decisions by encouraging realistic and fair views. Reduces mental reactivity, which leads to inner peace and strength. Tips for developing detachment. Being aware. Meditation. Don't judge the present time, just be in it. Cognitive reframing means changing how you see and understand things. Setting boundaries. To protect your mental health, set your own limits. How to use detachment in relationships. To stay unique in partnerships, set healthy limits for each person. Show compassion and understanding without getting caught up in other people's feelings. Let go of the need to fix or control other people. This will help people accept each other and be independent. Getting away from the results. Instead of focusing on specific results, pay attention to the process. Accept that you don't know what will happen and be flexible when things do. Realize that you can't control everything and just go with the flow. Practicing detachment is a useful skill that can help you grow as a person, feel better emotionally, and make better decisions. People can handle the challenges of life more easily and with more strength if they keep a fair view of things and control their emotions. Accepting detachment frees you from the restrictions of too much connection and control, letting you live a more fulfilling and peaceful life. Where does true value come from? The answer to this question can help us move away from unnecessary attachments and toward emotional freedom. Understanding this idea is especially important when it's hard to break up with someone. This is a process that goes deep into the principles of Stoicism. It's not about cutting ties with malice or indifference, but about realizing that the best friendship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. It turns out that your character, your knowledge, and how you treat other people give you true value. And it's easy to believe that our happiness depends on someone else being in our lives, and that our worth goes up or down depending on their approval. But this way of thinking holds us back. Like a bird thinking it needs permission to fly, and it limits our emotional freedom. Instead, picture understanding that the sky has always been open for you to spread your wings however you want. Being independent frees us and teaches us that our worth doesn't change based on other people's thoughts or presence. So, detachment isn't about pushing someone away. It's about drawing ourselves closer to our essence. By focusing on personal growth and becoming the best versions of ourselves, we free ourselves from the heavy weight of neediness. It's like taking care of a garden. You wouldn't beg a flower to grow. You'd tend to the soil, water the plants, and focusing on self-improvement means having faith in the natural process. We grow a garden that blooms no matter who walks through it or admires its beauty. This care turns into a source of happiness that is strong, independent, and deeply satisfying. So how do we walk this path of emotional detachment? It starts with realizing that you are complete, whether someone tells you so or not. Your journey is about finding the limits of your own sky and learning to love the freedom that comes with going alone when you need to. accept the truth of Stoicism. Pay attention to the things you can change, your thoughts, your deeds, and your growth. This doesn't mean ignoring love and connection. It just means putting your emotional anchor in the solid ground of who you are. Remember that your self-worth isn't like a puzzle that's missing a piece from someone else. It's like a work of art that's finished, but still open to adding more beauty from the world around you. Thanks for watching, and I hope this taught you something. If it did, please hit the like button, and if not, that's also fine. Your opinion is always valued here. If you want to learn more about the journey of personal growth, we have a special bonus for you, an exclusive free gift that explores 3 Stoic rules for a fulfilling life. Check out the link in the description to claim yours. Finally, do you have any thoughts on emotional detachment or insights from your own experiences? Please share this video with someone who could benefit from it. Until next time, let's spread the wisdom and support each other. Happiness is something that everyone wants, and philosophers, scientists, and other thinkers have been trying to figure out how to get it for hundreds of years. The book, The Path to Happiness, looks at different parts of what makes a life full and happy. It does this by using ideas from psychology, philosophy, and self-help literature. This lesson goes over some important ideas and steps that people can take to live a better, more fulfilling life. How to understand happiness. Happiness isn't a fixed state. It's a changing, multifaceted feeling that includes being emotionally healthy, being satisfied with your life, and having a sense of meaning in life. To find balance between short-term pleasures and long-term happiness, it's important to know the difference between the two. What's important about good relationships? For happiness, you need relationships that are strong and helpful. Having and keeping healthy relationships with family, friends, and the community can help you feel better emotionally, lower your stress, and improve your general health. Doing nice things for each other and being thankful can strengthen these relationships and make people happier. Why mindset and attitude are important. Having a good attitude and being thankful can have a big effect on how happy you are. Focusing on what you have instead of what you don't have, and having a positive view of life are 2 ways to do this. Also very important is resilience, or the ability to get back on your feet after something bad happens. Having ways to deal with problems and keeping a positive outlook can help you get through life's difficulties. Trying to reach important goals. Setting and working toward goals that are important to you can give you a sense of direction and purpose, which is important for your long-term happiness. These goals should be in line with what you care about and what you value. It's often more about the journey to reaching these goals than the actual achievement itself, which shows how important the process is over the result. Mindfulness and taking care of yourself. Being mindful, or staying in the present moment and fully experiencing it, can help you feel less stressed and better able to control your emotions, which can make you happier. Regular self-care, like getting enough sleep, exercising, eating well, and learning how to relax, is good for your general health and mood. By applying these ideas to daily life, people can make sense of the complicated feelings and experiences of others and find their own way to happiness.